Continuing now on this special late live edition of Newsmax Prime as we're assessing the results from tonight's Iowa caucuses. Let's rejoin our panel and welcome in a newcomer, at least in our 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific program. Skyping in from my old stomping grounds out in Mesa, Arizona, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Politistick.com, Jennifer Burke. So Jennifer, Ted Cruz prevails. Donald Trump finishes second. Does this slow the Trump train?
Well, you know, it puts a huge blow on the Trump train. I think it does slow it. I mean, everyone thought Donald would win. Polls had him up 1 to 7%. Even Steve, Ted Cruz supporter, believed that if voter turnout was over 135,000, that Trump would win. Well, voter turnout was nearly 200,000, but newcomers and late deciders went for Cruz and Rubio and not Trump. So this is a huge, huge blow to Trump, who had previously said that if he lost in Iowa, then it would have been a colossal waste of time and money.
Dick Morris, I was interested in our initial panel. I thought for Trump, his statement tonight was fairly gracious to the people of Iowa and to his competitors, congratulating Cruz, but that was met with scorn by earlier panelists. I guess my question to you is this, Dick. What does Trump need to do to keep the momentum in New Hampshire?
There's something going on with Donald, J.D., and I don't know what it is. You know, my family has always been very close to him. My father was his lawyer. And he began with not going to the debate, which is very un-Trump-like. And he dressed it up as Megyn Kelly and all that. But there was something more important. I think maybe he didn't want to answer abortion or something. And then in the last 3 days of Iowa, he kept issuing things where he said, you know, if I lose, it's not going to be the end of the world. And if I lose, it would be a great waste of time and resources. Then he came down tonight and gave just a flat, you know, concession speech and nothing in it, nothing of substance. I wonder if something's going on with Donald Trump. And, you know, when the air goes out of the balloon, it can come out pretty quickly. If I could just turn to the Democratic side of the race, I think that Hillary can dress this up any way she wants. The fact that Sanders tied her in Iowa is huge, and then he'll win New Hampshire on top of that. Now, I believe that after those two victories, Sanders will be ahead of Hillary nationally in the polling. He's now about 9 to 10 behind. I think after this race and after New Hampshire, he'll be ahead of her. And she does not have the firewall she thinks she does. She does in South Carolina. She'll win that. She does in Georgia and Alabama, 2 of the Super Tuesday states. But in Texas and Tennessee and Arkansas, the best that her black support will do is win her certain congressional districts. Won't have much effect statewide. And in the other 500 delegates that are going to be selected on March 1st, the black vote will not be significant. It doesn't exceed 10% of the population in any of those states. And I think that Sanders will beat Hillary on March 1st in total delegates. And then I think it's going to be a very close question as to whether Sanders or Hillary win the winner-take-all states of Ohio, Florida, and Missouri. And this literally could be a knockout against Hillary by the middle of March.
Well, you know, it's interesting. When it comes to ties, this may be politically incorrect, Rick Unger, but the old Clemson football coach Frank Harris used to call a tie a sister kisser. You told us earlier that with this 0.2% margin of, quote, victory, basically it is a tie. Dick says Hillary can dress this thing up, but what does it mean for Bernie Sanders? New Hampshire, does he lengthen a lead being a neighbor in Vermont? What's this going to mean for Bernie, Rick Unger?
You know, I don't see it any different than I've seen it all the way along. I do think Bernie will do well in New Hampshire. I think he'll win it. I think he'll get clobbered in South Carolina. Dick and I agree on that. Where we divert is Dick would have us believe, it seems, that Hillary's entire base is the black vote, and I just don't think that's true, and I've seen nothing that would suggest that. I think she will do considerably better through the SEC primaries. I just don't see the South voting for a guy who calls himself a socialist.
Well,
it's
let's
not
turn.
gonna happen.
Fair enough.
I'm an Ohioan, and I can tell you that Ohio's not gonna.
All right. Well, let's turn to the lady out in Arizona, Jennifer Burke from Politistic.com. What about Hillary? 30 seconds remain for your last word, Jennifer.
For Hillary, I mean, she lost to Barack Obama in 2008. She asked the people, she pleaded, stick with me. And for Bernie Sanders, I mean, she had a 2% lead for a while, and he kept edging and edging. And so for him to even be this close to the Clinton machine is huge.
So a tie ain't a sister kisser after all, Jennifer. It looks good for Bernie. Interesting discussion. Dick Morris, Rick Unger, and Jennifer Burke, you have our thanks. There is more ahead on this late edition of Newsmax Prime, so stay with us.